Oh, peace, fam. Yeah, so it's Father's Day. I know that there's not been a lot of people. Um, like I said, it is Father's Day, so I assume you guys got a lot of plans. So hopefully I don't make this too long. So, you guys can get back to, spending time. I'm just gonna give 30 seconds before I get into today's live stream. All right, guys, it's past 30 seconds, so we're gonna get into today's live stream. And today's live stream is going to be producing a vision. And basically, what that means is in order for stuff to happen, you have to have a vision. You have to know what it looks like, where it's gonna be at, and how you're gonna get it done. It's like the who, what, where, when, how. When you're reading a novel, one of the 5 things that they teach you is where, when, why, how, and what. And that's what we're gonna be talking about in today's lecture when it comes to producing a vision and how that relates to the BIO. So, wow, there's only one person watching. Not many people are in live. Usually we have at least 3 or 4 or 5, but like I said, this was last minute. I'm aware that this was last minute. I tried to do this on Saturday, try to get this out on Saturday, but you know, I was unfortunate not to be able to, I was focused on the game last night, the Bucks versus Nets, and that was a good game. So, my apologies for not, you know, um, my apologies for not getting the message out faster. Um, but yeah, so basically in today's video, I want to talk about how, you have to have a vision, and if you don't have a vision, it's not going to really work well. So, you know, with us in the BAO, obviously we have the 3 principles of land, infrastructure, nationhood. And when it comes to producing a vision, you have to tell people how does that look like. So what do we mean by land? What we mean by how we're looking at stuff. So my vision, and I'm going through my vision, not through others, but my vision of land is, of course, it being Liberia since it was established by African Americans, but having land that is ours, that is defined, that we feel safe in. It's an environment where you're able to thrive, an environment that is sufficient and it has resources that can be utilized. So in the case of land, you have the minerals, you have the resources, but you have the agricultural, sector as well, where you're able to become food sufficient and not have to rely on importing goods, since importing goods oftentimes leads to higher prices, and that also lowers income for potential, business owners, potential worker co-ops. And so for the land portion, that's why. And also, tourism. Since, we would have tropical rainforests, since almost all of the country is tropical rainforests, that would be a tourist attraction to see those rainforests, like the Gullah rainforest, like some of the, you know, the Monkey Island that they have there, seeing some of the waterfalls, the Mono River, all of that stuff there contributes to the idea of land. And, you know, hello, Zawadi. How are you doing? I see your channel is growing, and I'm happy for you. I'm super excited. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much, Zawadi, for what you've done. Every video that I see, it's an amazing result, and we got so much more in store, and we're gonna be doing that next year. Peace, Ronan. Peace, Vic. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, but and register at the website. But yeah, that's what our vision is. My vision is to see Liberia become the powerhouse that you know it was supposed to be. And that's what to me is the land, making sure Liberia's land is being treated well, making sure that we're valuing also our flora and fauna. So the pygmy hippo is one thing that's there. The mongooses, birds, all of that stuff contributes to land and making sure that it's preserved and we get to control the conservation. We can limit the poaching that's been going on in some countries like Zimbabwe or what's going on in Botswana. So that's what to me is land. And when you have that vision, people will tell us, well, how do we get there? And I'll explain a couple steps how you get there. So you get there, first of all, by, having a presence there, making sure that people feel that you are there to serve them, that you are there to do stuff for them. I know a lot of times people, when they say, where's the land? Or, well, we have the land, we have the country. It's just you have to claim it as yours. And well, people say, well, we don't control it. We don't run things there. We're not running the government. And I say, well, you have to have your presence there. You have to be working with those civil societies. You have to be working with boots on the ground. You have to be working with Liberians in the diaspora. And that's how you start to sway things. There's something called direct and indirect. You can control, we can control Liberia indirect of government and government officials. We don't need government officials to be the end all be all. We can influence things by, you know, making it known to the people that we're bettering their lives, making sure that we're taking care of, the agricultural land in Liberia, the rivers, because, we have a lot of water resources and that can be utilized for, marine energy, wave energy, all of that contributes to that. And so that to me is what land is. Now, what is infrastructure? Infrastructure simply means having a system that works for the people. And so in this case, it'd be working for all African Americans and all Liberians, making sure that all Liberians have access to sanitation. One of the things that Zawadi did in her last video, she was talking about healthcare. And that's such an important thing because you need that healthcare infrastructure. You need that help. You need those nurses, those doctors, those, those surgeons, those specialists who when something happens to us, they have medical facilities. So we have hospices, we have hospitals, we have clinics, we have, you know, we have special research facilities that have bio labs where they're able to study those diseases, try to cure them, doing synthetic biology, studying synthetic intelligence, studying transhumanism, which is the mergence of man and machine. As we approach the fourth and fifth industrial revolution, making sure that people have access to roads, highways, bridges, making sure that the school infrastructure is there, make sure that we have a lot of universities so that our students can attend universities if they so choose to, as a way that is tuition free, making sure that we have the teachers that can teach the content, whether or not it be engineering, but focusing on STEAM. Now, it's an addition of STEM. So instead of it just being science, technology, engineering, mathematics, you have science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. You make sure that you have that, making sure that you have vocational schools, because one of the things that I read about was the lack of vocational skills that are here in America. And although it's just a college and that's it, you don't have those training programs where people can learn trades. So it can be carpentry, masonry, blacksmith, or just getting IT certifications in JavaScript, or web design, making sure that that's there. Peace, investing out the blue, peace, Bruce Leroy. So you said Bruce Leroy, what about the rest of Africa? Our vision is, first of all, we want to establish our base of operations in Liberia so that we can project soft power. And so what I mean by that, Bruce Leroy, is that we're able to invest in other countries, have satellite communities, but they know that we represent a particular country. And so, being able to have Liberia be that example but you also have satellite communities in the Congo so that we can trade with Liberia, but also invest in their countries as well, bringing our businesses there, creating jobs for the people, and getting influence. So we're not leaving out the rest of Africa, but we want to make sure, like investing outright said facts, Liberia first, and then we branch out to other regions of the continent. But you have to have that base of operations so that we can establish those bilateral, trilateral agreements, those unions. It's Liberia first, because one of the things, and that also goes into the other aspect of nationhood. Nationhood is putting your country first, putting your peoples first, making sure, yes, we're abiding by our agreements, the AFCTA, but, making sure that we focus on what's going on in that country first, making sure that, we're putting our interests first so that when we go to the negotiating table, we know what we're negotiating on our behalf. Um, Bruce Leroy says, what does Liberia have? Big also said, peace, Bruce. Bruce Leroy said, what does Liberia have to offer us? So Liberia has to offer us the year of the diaspora, which is going to be happening next year. It's going to be 2021 to 2022. But basically, they're going to be offering, us to be coming home, reaching out to the historical sites, making connections with the diaspora. And there is some works on working on Providence Island, and we're working, what's going on with the Liberian diaspora of getting dual citizenship. That fight is still going on. Also, outside of those political, things, like Liberia has a lot to offer us in terms of, a close connection culturally. Because one of the things that African Americans worry about is, oh, Black Americans don't have culture, and that's one of the stereotypes that people say. And when you focus on Liberia, Liberia is a blend. Liberia is the perfect mix of Black American culture and African culture. So you have your Crew, your Vai, your Gribo, your Mandingo, your Mono, your Loma, your Day. You have all of those indigenous cultures, but you also have the blend of African American, also repatriated Africans who were captured on slave ships, but they returned back. You have the Caribbean features. You have all of that. So Liberia offers something that is a mix for African Americans. And it was one thing that, Nina Simone went to, was that Liberia was a way for African Americans to discover Africa in a way that was comfortable. So that is one of the reasons why that's what Liberia has to offer. Whereas in the other countries, it's oftentimes solo. It's oftentimes we need to assimilate. We need to, adopt their culture and, become like them. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with assimilating. That's what you want. But at the same time, it's recognizing that, if you see us as a distinct ethnic group and you see yourself, as your own people, you want that place where your culture is being elevated, your culture is being celebrated. There's familiarity. And that's something that, Liberia has that other, African countries don't have. And even when we talk about other countries like with Ghana, even when Ghana did their year of return, they weren't offering citizenship. They were doing like a tourist-like thing, similar to how Liberia's year of the diaspora is. It's just Ghana's was marketed through a like diplomatic means, and they put it on a video. So that's how people knew about of Ghana's year of return. Liberia has a year of the diaspora, that I'm trying to share and trying to get as much out there so that Liberia could have something like Ghana's year of return even more. You said, Bruce, what do they have to offer us monetarily? Because that's what most African Americans care about. I would actually disagree. African Americans care about incentives and opportunities. They want to make sure that, they are able to form their own businesses. That's what they really care about. They want to see, do they have the opportunities? You can cut the check. If we cut you a check, what is that going to do? You know, like investing said, he said, think not what Liberia can do for you, but what can you do for Liberia? And that's exactly what we're thinking in the BIO. But that's also one thing to give incentives for African Americans. You could say monetarily, But same thing, similar with Ghana. They're not offering monetarily, but if you give them citizenship, you give them access to land, they will come because they're getting the necessary resources that they can't do startup business. It's not just monetarily, because Bruce, that kind of sounds similar to how Black Americans here, when we talk about the reparations argument, cut the check. Okay, we cut the check, the system's still in place, you just got the check. You want systematic, you want incentives. You want the system to work for you, not so much the money aspect. And that's where we want to be able to have African Americans get the resources so that they can be self-sustaining and self-sufficient. And yes, that can be included, in a monetary incentives, but at the end of the day, African Americans want assistance. They want help. They want a helping hand so that they can get forward. That's so that they can move forward. That's what we want. Not just a cut the check mindset. Cut the check, cut the check. No, that's not what our mindset is. That's just not what the mindset should be when we're talking about what these African countries have to offer you. America ain't offering you money, and yet we still here. America cutting your social security, America increasing your rent, America increasing your health care, America is increasing all of this, the cost of living, lowering your wages. Wages have been stagnant for decades, and yet we'll still live here. We ain't getting no benefits, no tangibles, no nothing. But for some reason, we won't have that same energy we have for Africa that we have for America. We don't have that, and that's what I'm saying, Bruce. I'm not saying your point is not valid, because you do having monetary benefits do matter, but it also comes down to opportunities. Do African Americans have the opportunities to succeed? And that's what we want. And Zawadi said it, Liberia will offer you resources that will last for generations. And that's what we are talking about. You know, so you said monetarily means opportunity. What opportunities does Liberia have to offer us? So Liberia has its opportunities in the agricultural sector. So if you are into farming, let's say you are a Black farmer, they have tropical climate, so you can grow tropical fruit. You can get into the cassava business. You can get into the mango, the avocado business. You have the healthcare business. Zawadi was talking about this. Bruce, if you subscribe to Zawadi EM's channel, she also goes in depth about healthcare, building, other businesses, tourism, something there. There's something that you can also have opportunities in. Construction. The guest that we had, Miss Dion, my bad, Dion Jones. She was talking about how in Liberia, a lot of Black construction companies and Black electrical companies could bid for contracts, since Liberia needs a lot of companies that can do construction and work on the electric power grids. So that's another opportunity that is there available to Liberia that um that Liberia has to offer. Water resources. See, I do civil engineering, so water resources. Since Liberia, it rains a lot, and because of that, you have access to a lot of water resources, as well as the St. John's River and the Mono River. If you are somebody who's into marine energy, like I said before, wave energy, ocean settlements, Liberia would be that, since you have plenty of water. So those are just some of the few opportunities. Tech is something that's happening in Liberia. Um, you know, Zawadi just reinforced the point. Agriculture, healthcare, tourism, constructions, ETE. The opportunities are endless. Um, Investing out. Dablu says no Bill Gates or Monsanto taking our land. Oh no, we make sure those protections are there. We're not gonna have that. We're not gonna have it. Whoa baby says specialized manufacturing and shipping. Exactly. all of that can be done there. Shipping. Yeah, Liberia does a lot of shipping, so that's something we could do as well. Um, Baruti says Jabari are the clamor and energetic fervor by some blacks over the new Fed holiday Juneteenth distraction, taking our eyes off African heritage. What are your thoughts? It is. It is. Focusing on making Juneteenth, and people were talking about it on Instagram. Juneteenth being made a holiday, but police violence is still happening. You're stopping us to vote in America, so you're not making us want to vote. Reparations, that ain't happening. So you give us a holiday that's more symbolism, but it's not giving tangible benefits. It's not giving anything that's making economically us any better. So yes, it is a distraction of taking our eyes up African linkage. Yeah, and one thing that people forget about is Juneteenth marks the day in which the slaves in Galveston were free. When they heard, the lads in Galveston heard that, yes, the Emancipation Proclamation has been, ended, even though the Emancipation Proclamation happened 2 years prior. So yes, I do think it's a distraction because people were referring to it as Black Independence Day, which that cringes me, or African American Independence Day, which cringes me, because African American Independence Day is next month, July 26th. We have still a month and 6 days before African American Independence Day / Liberian Independence Day happens. It's July 26th, and we will definitely be doing a special on that. But to go further on to the opportunities, you have not just what he said, specialized manufacturing shipping, but iron ore. Liberia is rich in iron ore. It's rich in diamonds. It's rich in gold. It's rich in rare earth minerals. Colon sand, tantalum, molybdenum, which these are chemical elements on the periodic table. Not to make this a chemistry thing, but stuff like that we can do. Hydropower. Um, those are opportunities that Liberia gives you. And we're part of ECOWAS and an even smaller union as well, which people may not heard of, but I'll put it right here, the Mono River Union, which comprises of Liberia, Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Cote d'Ivoire or Ivory Coast. These are the opportunities that we would have in Liberia. So the opportunities are endless. Umoja, I'm gonna let you speak on it. And you are more than welcome to get your input, or are you just here to listen? And if so, I'll continue to go. But I will let you speak.
Hey, yeah, I wanted to, once I seen the title, I was like vision, and I wanted to just bring some another side of practical and common sense into the equation. If you haven't already touched on it, good morning, afternoon, or night, depending on where you at in the world. So vision, that's something that's personally something that's so important to me, and that's something that I realize that a lot of our people and leaders and organizations seem to lack. And when I say vision, is basically and literally, projecting into the future. It's not looking at today as if that's all we have, and it's not doing what we do to a gross level. It's dwelling on the past. We'll go through the annals of history and we'll talk about how great people, black people are, how our melanin is, how we build civilizations, how we invented so many things, how we do all these things, how people want to be like us. And it's like, well, so why are we so weak as a people if we so great? With all that history and everything else, then why are we so weak? What about tomorrow? And what I tell people, or what I would say and proclaim for myself, is that, like, I'm thinking about my kids. And because I really love black people, I'm thinking about all black people's kids, not just about myself. It's not just my ego speaking, yeah, black power and all this other stuff. It's like, no, I actually want to attain it. And then once I say that, then I ask a simple question, and I rarely get an answer. I say, what is the future of black people in America? And if people are being honest, Usually you'll get somebody say, well, I'm okay. Well, this is what I'm doing. And I say, no, what about the future of black people in America? And you hear pin drops because people know in their heart of hearts that the future of black people in America is nothing. And that's the truth. But see, because we don't have a vision, and because having a vision, you have to actually look into the future. And when your future is bleak, your mind is going to take the path of least resistance and try to look at anything good, anything good. But when you think about the future, like let's say if you're on drugs or if you're in jail or something like that, where you're in a bad situation, the future, you don't even think about the future. You're not counting days. You're literally living every day, one day at a time. You're trying to just worry about that next hit, that next drink or whatever. You're not thinking about how bad your future is going to be. And that's how Black America consciousness go when you talk about the future of Black America. We don't think about it. And we especially don't think about it as a collective because it is very bleak. And then I wanted to say about going somewhere else. It's like when we talk about going somewhere else, and you was just making brilliant points about how we'll say, well, what do they have to offer? What are the resources? What are we gonna get? How much are they paying? We'll talk about stuff that we accept in America in humongous doses. We get killed here. There's wherever you're at in whatever city, state you're at, country, there's guaranteed a place that you will not go at night. There's a neighborhood that you will not go to because you know it's not safe. But when you think of Africa, you'll say, oh, it's dangerous. It's a crime and corruption while living in America. And my challenge is wherever you decide to go, how about you make something yourself? Why does something have to be laid out for you? That's having a vision. It's building it ourselves. Why does everything have to be laid out? Like, yeah, if you come here, you're going to have a lion, you're going to have 4 wives, you're going to have 40 acres and 40 mules, and you'll be happy forever. Like, that's not reality. But here in America, we'll accept Section 8, we'll accept public housing, we'll accept assistance, we'll accept stimulus checks, and with anything that they got to give. And it's like gave us this like kind of childlike mentality to where we have to be taken care of as opposed to taking care of and doing for ourselves. And that's just, I just want to encourage people to just think and be honest. What does the future of Black people look like? And what are we doing for our kids, our kids, not just your kids. Because if I'm just working for my kids, they could still get shot by the police rolling my nice luxury car that I bought for them in high school or college because they get pulled over and they don't like the way that they moving and pow, pow, pow. Or because they're jogging in Atlanta and they say that, oh, they look like a suspect, pow, pow, pow. That's the reality of Black people in America. And I just want to say, what's the future? And what about our kids? Because that's what people with visions do. That's what every other race does. They think about the future and they project into the future and they say, this is where we want to be at. We want to dominate here. And we don't think about domination. We think about domination and immediately think about white people. Oh, you're trying to be like white people. You want to, it's like, no, we're trying to be like smart people. We're trying to dominate ourselves instead of being dominated. That's pretty much all I got to say. Hope everybody have a wonderful day.
I would like to add to your point. I want to first get to the couple of comments. Fly Guy 535 said Liberia's creation was our real Independence Day. It is our real Independence Day, and that's like I said. You know, on July 26th, we're going to be having a special talking about Liberian Independence Day, since African Americans were the ones who wrote the Declaration of Independence, and they signed the Declaration of Independence proclaiming Africa's first republic. So yes, that is our Independence Day. Zawadi EM said there are deposits of materials for tiles in Robertsport. I would like to explore opportunities with anyone interested. We would definitely consider that. Because I've been trying to get into mining myself. Obviously, I got to get my certifications and get everything before I do that. But I'm definitely looking forward into that opportunity as well. And mining could be something great for metallurgy. If mining engineering, if you're a mining engineer, if you do, if you want to produce metals, produce steel, that there's so many opportunities. And the thing about it, we would be in control of it. That's the thing. We would be in control of it. And that's what, I like what Zawadi does is she's giving you literally opportunities that you can do. She's doing a lot of the work that we were talking about. She's talking about healthcare. She's talking about, what you need to do. She did a video on how much it costs to go to Liberia. She's laying out the blueprint. Like, there are people who are laying out the blueprint in Liberia right now. Juneteenth said nothing. Brony said Juneteenth nothing more than another empty symbolic, feel. Yeah, it's a feel good moment. Holisticism says Umoja made my next upload. And Baruti said, Jabari, how would July 26th be conceptualized as African American Independence Day unless African Americans were officially identified as being Liberian? Well, we just have to look back in the past. We don't have to look like right now. There's been evidence in the past. I was talking about this on Focus on Liberia, that in 1877, 30 years after Liberia's independence, 4,000 African Americans showed up in Charleston Harbor for the Liberian Independence Day parade, and they weren't identified officially as Liberian citizens. Okay. But the point of that was, even though they were not officially Liberian citizens, they understood the importance of what Liberia means, signifies. That's why we talk about nationhood. We don't talk about nationhood as just like a dream. No, we understand what nationhood signifies. Liberia signifies African American and Pan-African spirits. It signifies Black America's dream of being a country, of being self-sufficient, of having self-determination. That's what that means. And if you see it that way, you understand that is your Independence Day. And there are going to be plenty of Liberian Independence Day parades or events going on. If you're in Charlotte, if you're in Minnesota, if you're in Portland, if you're in Seattle, they will have events that will be happening. Go to those Independence Day and celebrate with your brothers and sisters who are Liberian, since we drafted it and since we signed it. And to add to Emotion's point, because I really want to add to this point about the vision part of what does it look like. That is exactly why I put that on the thumbnail, Emoja. You explain the point exactly why I put on that. See the future. What does it look like? You cannot make an advancement if you don't know what it looks like. What does that look like? Like we said about reparations. What does that look like? You keep telling me tangibles, like a buzzword, like how the right uses critical race theory. But what does tangibles mean? What does that mean? Does that mean cut the check and that's it? Because, okay, we'll cut the check. All right, we cut the check. That's it. Everything's been forgiven. Okay. Is it going to be systematic reforms? Like making sure HBCUs get this much amount of money, making sure this much percentage of Black-owned businesses get this much amount of federal funding and get this much amount of federal loans, government contracts. What does that look like? That's why I said who, what, where, when, why, how. Because I see Liberia. That's why I kept talking about Liberia. That's why my avatar says Liberia, because I see that vision. I see the future. I was doing research about synthetic intelligence. I was doing research on, artificial intelligence, artificial general, artificial, narrow, artificial super intelligence. They were talking about how they were able to extend the life of a mouse by 20% just by alternating one protein of DNA in them. This is what's going on in the future. And that's what I want Liberia to be. That's what we want. iTuber, you finally came. We've been missing you. We've been wondering where you've been at, iTuber0112. And he said, in the same way every Jew can be Israeli, everyone of enslaved ancestry can be from Liberia. Exactly. It's what Israel signifies to the Jewish community. Yeah, they may not be Israeli citizens, but Jews in America, some or many of them, understand the importance of what having a homeland for the Jewish people means. Now, what's your opinion on Zionism? That's on you. You can have your opinion on Zionism, anti Zionism. That's on you. But the point of the matter is having somewhere that is safe for Jewish people and having that connection matters to a lot of Jews. It does matter. Now, of course, they're going to be focusing on healthcare infrastructure, of course, because you need that. But understanding that significance matters, and that's what we talk about when we talk about Liberia. What does Liberia signify? And it signifies a place for enslaved Africans who were taken from their homeland, stripped of their culture, to be able to go and reconnect with their African ancestry, have a place that is theirs, and it has their culture with them. That's what we're talking about, and that's the vision that I want to see. I was thinking, this weekend, Saturday or Sunday, I was thinking about, you know, wanting to be one of the great leaders in Liberia. I remember, thinking about I want the people of Liberia to remember me. When my funeral happens, if it happens in the long run, because depending on we're not, we might be living 1,000 years the way technology is going. But I want Liberians to know that I improved their lives. That Liberia skyrocketed when I was there. That I contributed to the economic development, sustaining of that country, and reclaiming Liberia's rightful place where it should belong in the world. Jabari, I guess one of the problems stems from the fact that our people have too many divergent ideas about progress and empowerment, which can't be standardized to produce an accepting common plan. You're right. We do have divergent ideas. But the point is, whose ideas wins? That's the key. We can talk about Garvey and W.E.B. Du Bois in the 1920s. Who won between Garvey and W.E.B. Du Bois? W.E.B. Du Bois said Garvey was right. Garvey won the argument. That's what we're saying. You're going to have different ideas. Whose vision is going to win? We want our vision to win. We have a vision. If you follow us, this is what happens. I remember watching the Tariq Nasheed interview with Afrocentricity, Dr. Afrocentricity. And I remember one of the questions that the two interviewers asked him was, what are the steps forward? If we follow your path, what will we get? And that question stuck to me to this day. If you follow the BAIO, you got an organization with a vision that's organized, that's communal, that's decentralized. Baruchi says they won't accept the common plan. It was presented by Chancellor Williams. It was presented by Marcus Garvey, Amos Wilson, and countless others. Yeah, exactly. The plan, the vision has been explained. That's why we say here at the BAIO, we are a continuing the legacy of those who came before us. We, the BIO, the concept of land infrastructure nationhood, the phrase came from Holla. But the concepts of the BAIO have been going for hundreds of years. Their vision of seeing a Black nation where Black people can be self-determining, that's been going on for centuries. And we want to finally bring it home and make their dreams a reality. Some of those people that we talk about, they're buried in Liberia themselves. Henry Highland Garnett is buried in Liberia himself. The first president of an American college is buried in Liberia. Joseph Jenkins Roberts, E.J. Roy, some of the wealthiest people. They were the presidents of Liberia. They were wealthy. E.J. Roy was so wealthy that he literally had his own private ship he could carry back and forth. He's buried in Liberia. So what am I saying about all bringing them all that point? We're just a continuation and we want to bring it back home. If we start building it, folks will come along the way eventually. Exactly. It's momentum. Momentum, 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 momentum. That's one of the things when you talk about a series. We just saw it today, and just last night with the Milwaukee Bucks. We saw it with the Los Angeles Clippers in the NBA. They had the momentum. They rode that momentum wave and they won their series. Momentum, momentum, momentum. Noble Kid said Liberian women are beautiful and beautiful. I've been there before, very friendly people and welcoming. Noble Kid said, I'm moving there next year. We're planning on taking a trip there next year. Hopefully we can link up and we can get stuff done. But we are planning to go there next year. So Zawadi said, Noble, for real, I look forward to meeting you. Let's make that connection. There's another Liberian YouTuber. She's also, she moved to Liberia, and she's building, I think you might know who she is, or I might have to say, I think you know who she is. But I will give her contact if you don't know her because she's also been in Liberia as well. Hey, we're little by little, it's happening. It's coming into fruition. Baruti said Garvey may have won the Vision Forward, but Du Bois' early are voiced by prominent and Mike's as a quasi. We need more Pan-Africanists with big mics. We do. Right. Like Hollis said, there's no argument there. We just need bigger mics. That's really it. We just gotta gain that following and we are there. Ronan said, if the predictable segment of Black folks don't want an independent nation state, they can continue this dysfunction song and dance here and continue to sign to permanent third-class citizenship. Exactly. That's why I said, like, Liberia, you will be first-class citizens. You will be first-class citizens. The most you could probably be is second at most, but we'll be first class citizens. He says, Jabari, you have to give people tangibles, not dreams. Once again, what does tangibles look like? Yes, you say not dreams. Dreams is what sets it into motion. If you don't have dreams, then you can't set anything. There's a reason why people follow people with dreams because people who have dreams, that makes people want to do something. If there's no dream, then what am I doing? Like I have a dream to become an engineer. If I don't have that dream, then what am I doing? He says the DRC has more to offer our people than Liberia. No, it don't. No, 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 no. Like I have great respect for the DRC. Don't worry. It has lots of mineral resources, but it's unstable. It's unstable like no other place. There's a reason why they call it Africa's World War. There's a reason why it's called. They just had a volcano eruption. So we're gonna build in a country that got volcano eruptions that just happened not once but twice in Goma. Nah, I'm good. I'm good. I'll take my Liberia. I'll take my Liberia. And And like Whoa Baby said, then create a satellite community in the DRC. What's wrong with that? That's what we're like. Nobody's saying you can't go to the DRC or establish satellite communities. It's just Liberia is going to be our base of operations. He said, "Why are you acting like there's a collective and organized we, us, or our? Who exactly is the DRC negotiating with?" You said Andrew Forrest, 100 billion. Are we sure that 100 billion is going to go to the people? Because DRC is corrupt and extremely authoritarian. Zawadi said, "I think Leroy watched the Black Panther more than he should." Like we get the DRC is important, but like Whoa Baby said, Liberia is the home base. It's the home base. Like we're not saying you can't establish a satellite community in the DRC. We would welcome that. We would support you. But why would we try to establish a nation in another country and think that the DRC would allow us to do that? Like Liberia, we wouldn't have to do that because we already have a connection there. Like the people already know that. And so why they already talked about it in our interview. They would welcome African Americans. They want African Americans to return. So we're going to go to another country. Yes, it may be rich in mineral resources that we have no connection to, not like direct. Well, we might have ancestry. I might be from the Congo because I'm Gullah Geechee. But we're going to bring millions of African Americans into the Congo that are not that as their own separate group, not Kishiluba, not Congo, not of any of these tribes. And we're going to form our nation state in the Congo and think the Congo is going to allow that to happen, or certain rebel groups allow that to happen. You really think that's going to happen? Like, we get it. We understand the DRC is important. We get it. We understand. Nobody's here is downplaying the DRC. 78 million people, 80 million people. It's going to be a major powerhouse in the future. But if you want to move to the Congo, then just become Congolese. We would just become Congolese citizens. We would not try to form a nation state in the Congo and risk a war with the Congolese government that then gets out of control, and then our nationhood, we built all this stuff up only for it to come crumbling down. If Hall said, let's say it together, satellite community, let's say it together, base of operations. If we could understand those two terms, we wouldn't be engaging in a debate about this. Period. I'm about to say, hold up, we mean base of operations. But yeah, it's just Liberia is going to be the base of operations. That's just right. That's what we're focused on. We have the history there. We're laser focused on Liberia, and that's what we are focused on. You know, there was a Liberia to the world. I think it was YouTuber Liberia to the world. He talked about the Ducord Hotel, and how that was prominent. Please subscribe to Liberia to the world. He does great work on Liberia. Yeah, he posts stuff every now and then, but he was talking about the Ducord Hotel and just how much 5-star it was and how it could be renovated and stuff like that, and we could do that, but yeah. That's where we are, and that's what today's video um is about. Having that vision and why having that vision is important. Having those dreams, having those aspirations, because now that you know what you want, now that you have that dream, you can go get it. That's the important part. You're right. No, 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 absolutely not. You're right, Booty. It's not a bad vision either. If you want to become a citizen of Botswana, Namibia, Zambia, South Africa, Tanzania, Ghana, that's good. That's great. You know, and that increases our soft power. That's a great point. Nobody, I'm not discouraging that you only go to Liberia and that's it. No, we say, like I said, base of operations, but that's a good vision too. Becoming citizens of numerous African countries, having a diaspora so that we can gain influence within countries. That matters. That matters. So absolutely, I support it. Absolutely. There's nothing wrong, Broody, with that point. Nothing wrong with it. I think that we need to have that Blaxit. People talk about that term Blaxit. And Zawadi said, keep the vision alive, folks. Yeah, the vision is what makes you move forward. That's what motivates you, is keeping the vision alive. If you don't have a vision alive, then you don't have hopes. If you don't have hope, you don't feel like you have anything worth. So yeah, we are definitely gonna keep that vision alive. And also, we want to make, like unlike Ronan said, let's put our resources together and work to transform Liberia to make Liberia what it was supposed to be. What Liberia never had the full chance to be. That's what we want to see. We want to see Marcus Garvey's dream. We want to see Maya Angelou's dream, Nina Simone's dream. We want to see Henry McNeil's Turner dream. We want to see all of their dreams. And that's what we mean by let's work together and transform Liberia. That's what we mean. No, we want what Liberia was supposed to be happen. It's time. Liberia has been independent for 174 years, and it's time for those 174 years to be respected by the world. Well, it's 173, about to be 174 in come July 26th. And we will be doing a special on that too as well. We will be doing a special live on that on Liberian Independence. We will definitely be doing that. You know, respect to the ancestors, respect what they did. But yeah. And yeah, Noble Kid, yes. People look down on Liberia too much, but Liberia is a powerhouse. Spreading negative, dysfunctional arguments about Liberia, talking about Liberia as if, it was just a disaster waiting to happen. Like Liberia was not one of the richest countries in Africa. Um, like Liberia didn't house Nelson Mandela and taught and allowed people who were in apartheid South Africa, black South Africans, to become citizens there, to teach at local universities. Like Liberia wasn't one of the countries that was the leader of the Monrovia group that led to the OAU, which led to the modern African Union. Like Liberia didn't do all of that. Like Liberia did more than its share, and like, it's time for Liberia to get the respect it deserves. And I can bring in some many people, but I can't sell them on Liberia. They want to make money. Um, they want to make. You can sell them actually on Liberia. We actually can just say, in a group, and also are they African American as well? If they are, we can sell them. They can make money in Liberia. Yeah, they can. If we bring a group of them with us, we can definitely make that happen. You know, and also ask them, when they mean by making money, what field is it that they want, right? That's what we need to know, because otherwise, we can get contractors to make stuff happen. But yeah, that's all that we would need to know. And you can tell us more about that, and then we can make a proper adjustments to that, and see how we can convince them. Maybe speaking with them so that we can get them on board with what we're doing. But yeah, have that vision, because once you know, I was originally supposed to have this on a thumbnail, but I didn't because I just felt the picture would speak 1,000 words. That people say pictures speak 1,000 words. I wanted to really have the word destination. Once you have uh, a vision, you know you have a destination. We're trying to reach that destination. We know where we want to go. We know what we want to do, and now we have a destination. Now all we just got to do is get there. That's it. We all now we're on the how now. That's it. That's it. All we have to do now is the how part of it. We know where we want to go. We know why. We know what it is. We know where it is. That's it. Well, he said people want infrastructure complete for them to get on board, but the infrastructure is in the opportunity is in building infrastructure. That's exactly what it is. Because the little experience that I've had, it requires a lot of people. Um, hold on, I'll get to Whoa Babies finish this point. He said the DRC was so corrupted, then why is Australia's man investing 100 billion in the DRC to make money? Like they want to make money. They want to increase their exports. They want to increase their imports. I mean, their exports. They want to create their net worth. They want to. That's why countries invest. They want to make money, right? They're not doing it for the better lives of the DRC. They're doing it for their own interests. They want control and significant share of the market. That's why they're investing in the DRC. Like I said, that could be good for the DRC because they would have an influx of cash if the DRC can spend the money right and actually invest in hospitals, invest in stuff like that. You know, um, people want, yeah, and I'll get to Bruce. I'll get to your point. But to go back to what his point is, yeah, what the brief stuff I've learned while I've been working is it's not just when you build even a house or build even a facility, it takes structural engineers, it takes surveyors, it takes construction workers, construction managers, project managers, certified engineers, professional engineers who are licensed. It takes architects, it takes construction engineers, erection engineering. The building part requires everybody. Everybody gets to participate. Once you build the infrastructure is already built. There's really nothing more that needs to be done except maintain it because it's already been built. Or if it's crumbly, then they need to redesign it again. But that's like usually the lifespan of bridges and buildings are 50 to 100 years. So the next time we might, think it's going to take like a century or a half a century. Jabari, is there a group or one that can be created with standardized African American Liberians who spouse the groups you mentioned? Lib investment. Could Liberia concede as an African American nation state? U.S. reparations for Liberia. There are a couple. The Lib investment one I do know. The one that's sponsoring the Liberian year that I asked for, that's one. Number two is Liberian Observer because um they've written an article and I put them in the chat about how Liberia needs to push reparations. So Liberian Observer definitely is one that could spread that message. Liberia conceived as an African American nation state. Pan African Alliance has done some good work on that, on mentioning that connection as well. Although they are a Pan African organization, they've made Liberia as a nation state. Um, so there are a couple. There are a couple that we can get on board. So to answer your question, there are a couple. Um, yeah, he's building the world's largest dam. I mean, the DRC does have the Congo River, so I mean, and the Congo Basin, so I mean, to build, but see, he's building the dam. Notice how it's not a Congolese building the dam. So that means that the person that's getting the money is the Australian man, and it's probably not going to go to the Congolese citizens. It's probably going to be paid to Australia, and Australia's getting that money in that investment. Remember, when people invest in something, they want a return on their investment. So Australia is doing that because they feel like they're going to get much greater in return for that. So, yeah, on that. Is Zawadi said at Lyra, DRC is very unstable. Please let me know about your experience when you relocate there. That's what we've been saying. The DRC is really unstable. Except for Kinshasa, DRC is very unstable. Very unstable. You still have war. You see the wars over coltan, cobalt, rare earth metals in the Congo, especially in the eastern region. We see rebels that's going on over there. You have an Islamist group that's coming up in the Congo as well. So, and the Congo is a very, like, if you leave Kinshasa, Congo is like another. It's a whole nother. It's a whole nother world outside of Kinshasa because it's close to Brazzaville, which is the other Congo. There's of the two Congos. Outside of that, go to the western, go to Eastern Congo. Go to Eastern Congo to see how it goes. That's not no shake on the DRC, but what you similar to what you're saying is like us saying, well, since Mali and Niger are rich in uranium, iron ore, we're going to invest in those countries, or we're going to make our nation state in the Sahel region when the Sahel region is unstable, filled with a bunch of jihadist groups that are running wild. Liberia is not unstable. It's very stable. The African Americans that go to countries want to know, is it stable? Is it safe? I don't no shake on the DRC, Bruce, but we ain't trying to. Oh no, Brucey, there are African Americans. There are African Americans. I mean, sorry, there are Liberians espousing this. The reason why you have not heard it is because Liberians don't get the same coverage. They don't get the same coverage as, let's say, these other groups, right? So an example would be, for example, you've had one of my brothers talked about Liberia being the only country founded in Liberia, and his views only got 1,000 views. Another one talked about how African Americans, Liberia, America, and Africa, and they got like 9,000 views on YouTube. Um, he said we can invest in other countries, but our sense of nationhood is with Liberia. Exactly. And Holla's right by being in it. Yeah, if you want to stabilize the country, you gotta be in it. And we not trying to do that. Sorry, we not trying to do that. We not trying to do that. We not trying to do that. Like, because that's going some lives gonna be lost if we have to do that. Some lives will be lost. And there's no way we're going into the Congo without no protection. You can't, Bruce. You said no infrastructure. We can't build infrastructure. You can. I'm not going to say you're wrong. You're right about infrastructure and jobs stabilizing a country, but you have to have political control over it. You have to have political and military control over it. You can invest in infrastructure and jobs in the country, but there has to be political stability. I need to know that that person's country, the people, the government has control over those regions. I don't need to know that there's a central government, and the central government doesn't exist. Outside of Kinshasa, the Congolese government virtually doesn't exist. And we need to be honest about that. He said, "What's wrong with Liberia?" That's what I'm talking about. Everyone looks down on Liberia. So is Liberia. He says the DRC is already attracting investments. Bruce, nobody's denying what you're saying. We get what we're saying about how important the DRC is. We get it. Um, I was thinking about that, Bruce. I was really thinking about maybe I need to start reaching out to those platforms. Maybe I need to start going on uh the African Diaspora News Channel, going on to those platforms, African Esquire, going on to those channels and really bringing out these points. I was thinking about doing that. So that is something I have been considering, sending emails to them and, basically, or information man and trying to really get the message out there. So I've been thinking about doing that as well. So, you know, I will definitely try doing that in the future. Try to do interviews, trying to do that and see if anything can happen out of it. But that's definitely been on my mind, Baruti. But I was going back to Bruce. No, nobody's saying that we should make the DRC a satellite community, but we're not making that our nation state in a country that's already unstable with an authoritarian central government and think that it's gonna go down well. We're just saying. We're just saying. Like like I said, we're not knocking the DRC. Nobody's knocking on the DRC. Nobody. We're just bringing our point. Like Wall Baby said, our sense of nation is with Liberia. That's all we're saying. We get it, Bruce. You can be one of our ambassadors to the DRC. There are plenty of African Americans that would want to go to the DRC. You can be our ambassador there. But Hall Up is right. You have to be in there. You have to be in there. You can't stabilize a country being on the outside, looking on the outside in. You can't. That's why we talk. That's why we criticize Africans who live abroad in the West and they complain about their country. Um He said Nigeria was my default choice, but their situation is getting worse. Um, Maybe I should look towards Liberia as their second option. Yeah, you should. So Bruce Leroy said that DRC is not unstable, right? So let me read you some things right now. The ADF rebels killed 57 civilians in DR Congo's Ituri region, the UN. Over 40 dead after ADF rebels attack in eastern Congo. President Tshisekedi assesses volcanic damage in Goma. 11 dead in fresh violence in eastern DRC Congo. Okay. Uganda is among 6 suspects arrested in DRC Congo. Hutu rebels accused DRC Rwanda after Italian ambassador killed. And we're going to say that it's not unstable? Liberia is also attracting investors, especially in the hospitality industry, cocoa, real estate, clean energy, etc. Exactly. Exactly. And we're seeing this. We see the lights, going in. We see, lights being lit up at night. When it comes to that, we see, wind energy. We're seeing real estate. I've seen a ton of buildings being built in Liberia and people talking about how to build homes in Liberia. But absolutely. And they're building some hotels and stuff for tourism as well. Yeah, every year. How many mass killings happen in America every year? Tons. But here's the thing, though. We can always get the situation under control in America. Let's pretend a lot, even with the mass shootings in America, America has a strong government. DRC, the government don't even control that region. So like I said, I don't understand your point. Like you can say, like we said, America is not safe for us, but it's stable. Okay, there ain't no rebel groups taking over huge portions of the country. You don't have the Proud Boys running Florida and running Georgia that the U.S. government can't get under control. If the U.S. if Congress wanted to get stuff done, they could do it. There are enough mechanisms in place. Whereas if they really wanted to get stuff under control, they could. Why do you think Americans are upset? Because the government doesn't do nothing. They know the government is more than capable of getting this under control. More than capable. They just don't want to do it. We cannot guarantee that going on in the Congo, that the government can get it under control. And like we said, this is no knock on the Congo. It's unstable. Liberia, despite all of its current issues, have arguably some of the best real estate on the continent. He says, what rebel groups control the Congo? A lot. And I can name a couple of them actually. Actually. So a couple of the rebel groups is the Alliance of Democratic Forces for the Liberation of the Congo. You have Allied Democratic Forces. You have Hutu rebels, M23 Rebellion. Um, you know, these are stuff that's going on. Then there was a faction of the DRC rebel group surrenders after an internal group. Almost 500 fighters from a faction of one large armed group, one of the largest armed group in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, has surrendered. That was a year ago. And then 2 years ago, they launched their operation with a rebel group that had more than 160 rebel groups with a total of more than 20,000 fighters in the Eastern Congo. Just saying. Um, I know you fighting hard for the Congo, and like I say, rep for the Congo as a satellite community. As a satellite community, we understand. If you're an African American Liberian, if you're a Liberian and you want to go to the Congo and do investments in the Congo, by all means. But here's the question that we would ask, since they would say, well, what connection do you have here? That's that point. Noble Kid said this show is about Liberia. Um, there has to be a focus, a single focus. Exactly, Umoja. There has to be a single focus. That's why we're focusing on Liberia so much. Because one, obviously, is the connection, and it's easier for us to make inroads because of that historical connection and the fact that a lot of our, presence is there. Because when we talk about how many African Americans live in Liberia, we don't count the American Liberians that already went there. We don't count them. We're talking about African Americans who live in America. Um, I'd like to see Silicon Valley develop in Liberia. Should I start naming militias in the U.S.? There are militias in the U.S. We get there are militias in the U.S. We get it. But what we're talking about, Bruce, that you're not getting. But let me simplify further. Nobody is saying that America doesn't have the militias, mass shootings and all that stuff. But what people are saying when we mean by the DRC is unstable is, does the government have strong control over all of its regions, to whereas if something were to go down, the government could get it back under control. In the Congo, that seldomly happens. That's what we are talking about. You're saying African Americans do not care about Liberia, they care more about Ghana. They only care about Ghana because it's a trend. And that's not even true itself. They did a report talking about South Africa had more Black Americans than Ghana did. So your point is invalid in and of itself. Zawadi said, are we comparing the US to the DRC? That's the point I'm trying to say. Like this man is like trying to compare the US and the DRC when it's night and day. Like you can't compare the two. That like what one is stable, one is unstable. Like, and I have to explain it to him. Like, I get what you're saying about the importance of the DRC. Like, come on. Like, we get it, Bruce. We get the DRC. We understand. We get it. But at the end of the day, let's be real. Let's be real here. Let's be real. Mo said, "Why are we discussing Liberia anyway? That's not the focus." You're right; it's not the focus, but it's constantly being mentioned. So I'm just like, we just gonna have to address it. And like I said, I would love to visit Kinshasa or Lubumbashi or Mbuji. Like, we would love to, no, but it's not what we're focused on right now, and it's not what we need to be putting our energy in. We can have a satellite community, y'all. He says some African Americans not properly educated about Liberia. Stop. For real, just like stop, please. He said Bruce Leroy sees our group A's as Bantu and geo-linguistic heritage, so DRC pulls heartstrings and is an integral paragon piece. Most African Americans did come from Congo, DRC, Angola, Gabon, Congo. You're right. We're not okay, but then here's the point. You're right. The DRC does pull strings. You're right. But here's the thing. Why is that same energy not be given to Angola? Why not just go to the Republic of Congo? Why are we focusing on the DRC? Why can't we just say, hey, why don't we establish it in the Republic of Congo and Angola and those countries? And he's not focused on that. But I understand your point. The DRC pulled heartstrings with me. That's why I got the name Jabari, because they spoke Swahili and I was interested in speaking Swahili. And and I was interested in Swahili, and I was talking about one day going to the Republic of Congo. But this was before Liberia. This was before me understanding the history of Liberia. I wanted to move to the Congo because I understood Congo was rich, but I wanted to be a Congolese citizen. That was more of so like I wanted to bring my skills to the Democratic Republic of Congo and be a Congolese citizen. That I understand it pulls heartstrings. I understand, but that was before Liberia. When I understood the importance of Liberia being founded by African Americans, I'm like, oh, I need to go over there. He said he just disagrees with our position. And like I said, we get it. We get the importance of the DRC. But what we are saying, Bruce, is the reason why we say establishing and Liberia being the nation state, and this is a final on that matter. It's just the reason why we say that is because we can invest in the Congo, but the Congolese government is going to demand us that we become Congolese citizens. And you haven't factored in how are other ethnic groups going to see us unless we assimilate completely within those ethnic groups. That's what we're talking about. Whereas in Liberia, the cultural dynamics are there, so where you don't have to worry. There are African Americans there, American Liberians. You have the Maryland counties, the Virginias, the New York, that's familiar to Black Americans. And you got that. You said Qatar is building 2 airports in the DRC, yet they are unstable. What part of the Congo, though? That's the question. But anyway, I don't want this to become a Congolese like thing. I don't want it to become that. I don't want it to be that. I understand your point, Bruce, but oh, it's approaching an hour and 20 minutes. Um, but yeah, have that vision, because if you have that vision, you can actually, get things forward, and you can actually build. And I hope this was informative. I hope we can just encourage um okay. But yeah, just continue to build, who, what, where, when, how. And once we do that, everything is gonna fall forth. Because I do agree with iTuber. You know, we build Liberia and we show that connection, like Zawadi said. Liberia will be the jewel of Africa that it once was, and that's what we want it to be. And we will continue to do that. We will continue to, push for the connection of Liberia. We're going to continue to debunk those myths about Liberia, because I've been seeing a lot of trash talking about Liberia, and I get tired of that. And you're not going to disrespect the country that my ancestors were integral in establishing. So, provide that vision. Think about you, your legacy, the descendants that come before us. And when you do that, um everything will come back in. Make sure you sign up to the website at baioafricstan.org/register. Sign up to the website. Once you sign up to the website, you can go into our Discord. Um, uh, you know, BIOAfricstan.org/register. And where we have a discussion called the lounge. So you know, and it's at 8 p.m. We have great conversations. We would like for all your BIO members to join us. We would really appreciate y'all being there. It's a family setting. It's a good environment. You will not regret it. The lounge at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So with that, remember to make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Um, so you know, all right, fam. My last message would be is this: those who have a vision know where they are going. Those who don't have a vision are left in the void and are lost in history, because they never pictured what they wanted and where they belong. And, peace. Deontay, I know it's coming at the end. We are at the very end of the live. But yeah, thank you guys for engaging in the chat. This was probably one of the most, interactive discussions. And, I hope we can do this more often. Also, tune into Underrated Thought on Thursdays, and throughout the week. I will be posting BL news about what's going on in Liberia, what's going on throughout the African continent and the African diaspora, to give you some informative news about what's going on there that you may not know. And I will be continuing the Liberian presidential series. So please go look at the first video, Joseph Jenkins Roberts, and the next videos will be on Stephen Allen Benson and Daniel Basho Warner, the second president of Liberia and the third president of Liberia, who wrote the national anthem. So, with that, thank you guys so much for what you guys have done. Remember, Liberia 2022, Liberia Year of the Diaspora. All right, fam. Remember, like, share, and subscribe. Peace, everybody.